And the next voice you hear after this little bit of music will be that of SOTU. Thank you, Josh. Here we go.
We wish to tell you that so many of you are going to be able to create realities that are far beyond and far better than what you have all been anticipating as far as the dynamics of collapse and gloom and doom and all of that stuff. We're basically here to tell you that and encourage you to come more from your hearts in the dynamics of your decision making, and you will all be begin to be on that right path. If you can begin to shift the dynamics of your ideas about your world, and instead of competing for what you believe to be scarce resources, to instead realize that there is enough, and a more equitable distribution of enough will lead to a dynamic of, what shall we say, eventually a life with a heart-centered, heart-based dynamic of technology that leads you to a place where there's magic and miracles happening on a daily basis, even an hourly basis. Now, we just wish you to understand that there is absolutely an energy, or what shall we say, energies in your world that are seeking to have you, what shall we say, be controlled by technology, but that in and of itself is not going to happen, because that old wild card, the divine wild card, which is earthly humanity, is awakening from its slumber, and you are gaining your full, true dynamics of empowerment, and there is nothing or no one that will be able to stand in the way of a glorious destiny for you and your species. So how about that?
I love that. Yeah, it's interesting because even with everything that's been going on, just recently I was able to achieve something like that. I was able to change my job and actually negotiate for higher rates than one would think you could do at this moment. So that's been really uplifting, in a way, and just made me realize that we can create our own reality as long as we keep trying.
And as long as it's in line with your destiny. So many of you keep trying to create a reality that is at odds to the reality that you have chosen to have in this incarnation. And so, it's a very interesting thing. Yes, certainly so. You tend to fight those things that you have chosen as a life lesson. And, some of you will go out kicking and screaming in order to be able to not have to deal with those things. But the realization is that consciousness really is demanding that each of you deal with these dynamics, just like consciousness is asking you who you're going to be as a species. Are you going to begin to measure yourself by how well the least of you are doing, not the best of you? That's just a really little thing that you can do to begin to shift the whole dynamic. Measure it in that sort of way. If you look into that, we would think that the major problem that so many of you that exists in your world right now is homelessness. And so, in that dynamic of creating an uplifting dynamic for humanity, now how's that going to happen? It's not going to happen by you fighting whether the conservatives or the liberals are correct in this dynamic, because both the conservative and the liberals have created dynamics that have led to this reality. So you have to be willing to step out of it and look at what the real problem is. And the real problem is that there needs to be a safety net, that if you're going to create a dynamic of fairness for your world, you need to be able to all have an equal start. Not that you're going to all do the same thing with that equal start. And that's where the dynamic of, what shall we say, that friction, that growth that comes from competition, because competition in and of itself is not a bad thing. It is a thing, and it's a dynamic that you use for motivation. So if you can compete in a fair way, and if you can compete in, who knows what you could create,
Yes. Yes.
But if you have this, it's true. It's true, and you don't allow yourselves to even think in those lines. The what if, especially for those of you that are a little older. What if you were able to have, you were able to explore educationally whatever you wished? What if you didn't have to worry about, crazy parents and crazy siblings and things like that? What if you were brought up in a world that was loving and caring and compassionate and connected and well-adjusted? Wow. What would be possible for humanity? And so we would say that the possibilities are endless.